Hello folks and welcome in. Welcome to the Spawn Chunks coverage of the Minecraft Live 2024 show. I just had to tell Streamlabs which microphone to use because it's been a while since we did this and several Windows updates have passed. But yeah, welcome to the Spawn Chunks. This is a live broadcast that we're doing for Minecraft Live 2024 and my good friend Joel Duggan is joining me.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, doing well. Are you feeling like... Being on camera is pretty standard for you these days, so does it feel a little bit more comfortable than it has in previous years?
It's different now for Minecraft Live because that was the once a year. The joke in the Spawn Chunks community was like, hey, we get Joel face once a year.
Yeah.
And now, ever since episode 300 of the Spawn Chunks, we've been doing a video show on YouTube. And I've also been using the camera on my streams. So I've been using a face cam on Twitch now as well, on twitch.tv/Joel Duggan. So I'm used to it now, and it's cool. I think it's more engaging. I think that we've seen a lot of really nice feedback from our Spawn Chunks listeners, now Spawn Chunks viewers on the video podcast, and it's cool. I think on the video podcast as well. And a tip of the hat to your editing to have like screenshots of what we've been working on and all that kind of stuff in the show. So it's been an adventure. There's lots of tech hurdles, lots of codecs that we had to try to get this to work right. But now it looks like we've got those issues sorted out. And so both our live viewers in our Discord when we do the show, and then of course the people that watch later on YouTube get a quality video from both of us now.
Yeah, and it looks like there's about 10 seconds left until the main show starts, so I'm going to scroll up the volume. You folks should be able to hear it. If it's a little bit quiet, that's just because Joel and I want to be able to commentate over what we're seeing, so you can always go back and watch the main broadcast over at youtube.com/Minecraft or on Minecraft.net if you're missing any of this stuff. But I'm going to roll up the volume because it looks like we are about to get this show on the road. It's all subject to change. I like that they're upfront about that kind of stuff now. Like, I mean, they were before, but it's stated ahead of time just to give everyone a certain level of expectations, I guess. And here we are, folks. Welcome to Minecraft Live 2024. Gosh, that's some pretty footage.
Welcome to Minecraft Live 2024.
Hi, Lydia.
We're coming to you from the home of Minecraft here at our office in Stockholm, Sweden.
I like that they're doing it in the office.
Yeah, and cool that we get to see a little bit of it as well. That creeper statue is terrifying. I've seen it a couple of times in social posts. Wild.
We've got a fun show for you with the latest and greatest things coming to the world of Minecraft. A brand new, never-before-seen game drop, inside info directly from our team, and a sneak peek into the wider world of Minecraft, including some exclusive insight into our upcoming movie. Everything we'll show you for vanilla Minecraft is coming very soon. In fact, you'll be playing it in the next few months.
Next few months, wow, cool.
The community has always been at the heart of Minecraft. Your creativity and passion for 15 years and counting inspires us to create, both inside and outside of our games.
I figure a lot of this is going to be
those early days,
retrospective about the 15 years of Minecraft so far.
Was made by the community.
Cool that we're going to get some info about the movie too.
When I first started playing Minecraft
in
definitely. 2010, this wonderful community-made video was one of the first things I ever saw about the game. Whenever I rewatch it, I think back to my first moments playing and how this game has changed so many lives, including mine.
Let's go to a place where everything is made of blocks.
Yeah, this is wild. This was the first ever Minecraft trailer, and it was made by a community member, but they adopted it as the official Minecraft trailer.
Oh, cool, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, the community, like Lydia said, has always been at the heart of everything. And, I mean, enjoy that this is what Minecraft used to look like. It feels just ever so slightly different. It's like looking into a parallel reality now.
And I started playing before the big texture pack change, so
yeah, we talked about those on the show, on the Spawn Chunks podcast.
Yeah.
Play with friends. Build your own little community. Protect yourself with the strongest armor that you can craft, and fight off the dangers of the night. No one can tell you what you can or cannot do, with no rules to follow. This adventure, it's up to you.
And how jerkily the player is moving. Early camera mods, man.
That
That's
trailer
awesome.
really brings back memories. We've come so far, and yet Minecraft is still the same game we all love. We have now celebrated Minecraft's 15-year anniversary, and it's been an incredible year. A few highlights are the Tricky Trials update, Marketplace Summer Celebration,
That was
and
really
Ender
big,
Cup
the Ender Cup.
Championships.
Yeah.
I
We've
started
had a
working
couple
on
of Ender
Minecraft
Cup
and
winners on our
Minecraft-related
show.
projects nearly 14 years
That's
ago.
our claim to fame.
At first, I was coding back when Mojang had a small apartment-turned-office here in Stockholm. Now I'm Mojang's Chief Creative Officer, and I try my best to help all our teams to create the greatest Minecraft experiences.
Wow.
The world of Minecraft is still growing in many ways, and you might wonder how it's possible for us to explore so many stories and interpretations of the universe. The truth is that you, our community, have been doing this since the beginning. Every player has their own story to tell and their own take on what Minecraft is. We take inspiration from that creativity when we explore new things. Minecraft Dungeons told the story of the Arch-Illager, and Minecraft Legends went back in time and let you lead mobs into battle with a piglin invasion. Today, you'll hear about some of the upcoming ways we're telling stories beyond our games and exploring more interpretations of what Minecraft can be.
Which is
Soon
what the
we'll
movie
get
is,
to
an
see the world of
interpretation.
Minecraft brought to life on the big screen, thanks to our upcoming film, a
Thought so.
Minecraft movie. I had the opportunity to travel all the way to New Zealand and finally see the production firsthand. It's one example of how Minecraft is growing in entertainment, but at the heart of it all is still the game. The teams working on Minecraft are ambitious and want to create the best tools and technologies that will help us and creators to make more Minecraft stories.
I love seeing so much of the opposites. It's cool.
Yeah.
The core
Seeing the
vanilla
environment they
gameplay
all
team
work
did a
in.
tremendous job
Yeah,
with
it's a
Tricky
very
Trials.
creative space, as you would expect.
Now we're
right?
planning to have a change of pace in terms of releasing new features. Earlier this year, they released the Armored Paws drop, which included Armadillo and new Wolf variants. And the ambition is to continue to drop more feature nuggets more frequently. These more regular updates will replace the yearly summer update that you might be used to.
So if you don't like game
This will
drops, you
also
can call
allow
them
us to
feature
consider
nuggets.
long-term improvements to ensure we can build Minecraft for the long run.
I'll have a
When we
6-pack of
expand into
feature
new
nuggets, please,
areas,
Jeb.
Our primary creative
What kind of
principle
sauce
is
you
that
want with
it
that?
starts with vanilla. Because,
Always honey
just
mustard.
as the trailer you saw, that is what brought us here, and it's
I'm a
still our
barbecue sauce
favorite
guy.
game for 15
Fair
years
play.
and counting. You can rely on us that our dedication will last another 15 and more.
So the real test here is how many of these employees can you name? I've at least seen Nembon a couple of times now.
Hello everyone,
Yeah.
I hope you all are well. As Jens mentioned, we in the core game team are working
This is
on
a really
drops.
small production
And
thing, but I'm
today
pretty
we
sure
are
Agnes is
excited
standing on
to
a
show
box.
you two of them that we have been working on. And both of them
Or
will
like
release
massive
within the next
platforms.
few months.
Yeah.
A little bit later in the show, we will, for the first time, show you a completely
New
new
biome.
drop
Wow.
that adds a new biome with
Mhm.
its own unique move.
This is lining up with
But
some of the stuff
before
that was
that, we
leaked
would
earlier in the
love
week,
to
which
start
I've been
with
trying to
our
stay
next
away
step.
from as best I
It's a
can.
combination of
I
two
heard of
things
it, but I
many of
didn't
you
look
have
into
been
it.
waiting for.
Sure.
It's hardcore mode in Bedrock and bundles. And we call it Bundles of Bravery. And
I
we
like the
have
name.
two amazing, clever team members that will show more.
You know me, I'm a big fan of bundles. Even despite the changes they've had recently, I'm really excited for color-coded bundles, and I think the new interface is
Hardcore mode is
a
your
compromise, but
traditional
it's
Minecraft
decent.
experience, except with one life to live. Playing hardcore mode brings back
They've
that
moved
feeling
into the
of
regular
the
game
first
now
time
instead
that
of
you play
experimental
Minecraft.
features, which we'll talk about on
Because
Monday's show
everything
too.
is new, everything
Yeah.
is dangerous, but now your entire playthrough, everything is dangerous all the time, and that adds to the level of excitement that you have for everything that you do. Everything is new, everything is scarier, because you can't afford to make any of those mistakes. In Java and in Bedrock, we have a very different menu experience for getting into hardcore mode. So in Bedrock, we have this nice little toggle that you flip that says, I want to play this in hardcore mode. But my favorite part is that in the corner where you have your little image of your world that you're about to join, a little outline appears, and then the hardcore heart like starts to pulse there. So you really know that you're going to have a very difficult experience in front of you. When you've been playing Minecraft for a long time, you get into a routine, and you do things on the regular that are just very normal for you. When you play hardcore mode, you have to
You're gonna
break
make that jump.
routine and create an entirely new way to
I've definitely been
play
in that situation a lot of
is
times.
Maybe a little bit more risk averse, unless you want to play very often, very short bursts. But your experience.
Yeah, when I played snapshots, I was
always
jumping
gonna
off
be
of stuff all the
unique and very
time.
different,
Not
because
to
that
die, but
one life
like
to live
without the
changes
proper
entire
boots
way
and without elytra.
Yeah. Oh, the water bucket clutch.
We're super excited
Good job,
for you to
whoever
try
recorded that.
hardcore mode, and maybe you'll feel a little safer if you're able to bring those extra items with you in the new bundles.
This is Matthew, take 1.
We added bundles to help people pack more into their inventory. So in old versions of Minecraft, if you were digging a tunnel, you might end up with 64 blocks of cobblestone and it fits into one inventory slot. Today, if you dig that same tunnel, you're going to get a lot of different blocks. Even if it's only 64 blocks in total, they're going to take a lot of inventory slots because they don't stack together. A bundle lets you pack those items together, reclaim that space, and have an inventory that feels like it did back in the early days of Minecraft.
I do like
When we
the
first came up with the idea
emphasis
for the
on,
bundle,
hey,
we
lots of
wanted to
different
make sure it was
stuff. Like,
actually
they're
going to be
clarifying
useful.
that.
So
Yeah.
we watched
It's a
a whole
good,
lot of
smart
streams
move.
of players playing survival
Yeah.
Minecraft. We waited
design
until they
intention,
opened their
right?
inventory and then we took a screenshot. Then we went through all these screenshots and we said, what could this player do if they had a bundle?
Such a cool insight
What
into
we
their
found is that
process as
most
well,
people
like
would be able
actually
to free up
taking
8 inventory
examples from the
slots or
community.
more, which gave them a lot of room to carry more of anything they wanted.
And the 8 inventory slots actually has some kind of
The main
basis
advantage of
in
using a bundle
how
is
many
that you
items
can
they
go
saw
out
in
for
player
longer.
inventories.
If you're going out on your first adventure, you can pack things into a bundle and have a lot more space in your inventory before it fills up and you have to come home again. There are a lot of creative ways to use bundles as well. You could create a gift for your friend, dye a bundle in their favorite color, and give
You've
it to
mentioned
them
that on
with
the
their
show.
favorite items inside.
Yeah, I'm so happy they can dye them now.
Bundles are also an interesting roleplay item, or it could be used in storytelling. The idea of having a little bag is just kind of inherently cute and fun.
Okay, this is Element Animation Interlude.
Breaking news! We interrupt this Minecraft live broadcast.
The mustache
with a
is a
special
nice touch.
report. There's
Yeah.
been a monster sighting. Here's villager number 9. Thanks, number 5. Villager number 15 here says there's a monstrous creature right there in those woods. So, number 15, have you ever lied on the news before? What? I'm not lying. I was with my group and the monster had got all of
Teller of
them.
lies in the
Oh,
Chiron
no,
is
just don't
very
like
good.
You know, because of all the lies. What? That's ridiculous. All right, to put
Number
an end to
15
these
is a
clear
nitwit as well.
fabrications,
Yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
go into the spooky forest and prove there's no monster. All right, let's go.
Oh, you're heading into the woods. Very well, but I must warn you. Those who enter there never return here.
What? Why not?
No, this is just the entrance, darling. The exit's over there.
All right, come on. Everybody keep their eyes peeled for monsters. Of course, we know there's no such
all
thing.
have the
What about
same
zombies,
voice.
skeletons,
Yeah.
goblins, it didn't look like any of those.
If you haven't seen villager news animations before, they're worth looking up. They're always so funny.
Convenient.
You're well done.
Hey, wait. Does anyone feel like we're being watched? I hope so. We need the ratings. Did anybody hear that? Hear what? The creaking. I'd say it was more of a crunching. Hey, wait. Where's villager number 31? Is that XP? Ah! The monster got him! Oh, no, it's happening again! No, that could have been anybody's XP. And emeralds. And sign that says, I'm villager number 31, help me. I'm being attacked by a monster.
Ah, that's why he got trapped in the sign UI. That's why. He was too busy writing that message.
All right, well, I'm convinced. Let's keep going. I thought he said there were monsters. Yeah, where's the monster? All right, we've been here for a while and we haven't seen any monsters. Yeah, we should make our way back. Which way was that again? Oh no, we're lost! No,
The immediate
does anyone
panic
know the way
every
back?
30
Villager
seconds.
number 47 will know. He's a cartographer. Where's villager number 47? Hey, someone left a map in all this XP. Maybe there is a monster. There's no monster. Who said that? It's gonna get us! Villager number 5. It appears that a wave of hysteria has afflicted the group. I stand by the notion that there are no monsters in the woods. But the cameraman and I are going to run away now, but
I only just clued in now that he's got a microphone in his hand.
Yeah.
Huh? Hey, what's behind that tree? Ah! Oh no, villager number 9! Villager number 9, are you there? Is anybody there?
Spooky.
I guess we'll never know what caused this tragic chain of events, but it definitely wasn't a monster. Ah well, sorry for interrupting the show. Now back to Minecraft Live! Villager news.
Some animators had some fun with that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Is that a preview of what we're going to get later in the show?
It's been a long time since I first announced our Minecraft movie. We've taken our time to assemble an incredible team and to create an original, fun-filled take on the Minecraft universe. From us at Mojang, our partners at Warner Brothers and Legendary, our talented director Jared Hess, and some amazing content creators, we're bringing Minecraft to the big screen in a way you've never seen before. All with the goal of authentically capturing the spirit of Minecraft by working with people who play, love, and care about the game as much as you do. Let's hear from some fellow Minecrafters and take a closer look at how we made this film.
Cool behind the scenes.
Let's do it. Yeah, I gathered that a bunch of them did take a trip to New Zealand at some stage, so I do wonder if this is what they did it for.
I'm Jared Hess, the director of a Minecraft movie.
We're super excited to share some exclusive information about how we made this movie.
Man, to be able to celebrate that fun, amazing, creative spirit that is Minecraft, it was just like a dream come true.
We first started talking about making a movie, over a decade ago.
Really cool how many of those sets are practical after everyone assumed it was going to be all CG from the trailer, you know? I love the little pumpkins and melons that we see in those shots. So cool.
About what kind of movie to do, and we chose live action because it's not something that's been seen before on this scale.
Even the costumes
Creators
are primary
have made
colors.
Such amazing stories and short films and content in the animation space, and it was like, oh, this is the chance for us doing a film to do something different.
And also kind of wish fulfillment, because I always wondered, like, what would happen if I would wake up inside the Minecraft world? Like, how would I survive, and would I survive at all?
The idea of being human beings that are actually going into this cubic dimension of the overworld and how those characters are engaging in that space. And it just seemed like so much fun.
Everything is cubic, like everything is blocks.
We had just an absolutely amazing crew of talented artists. You know, our production designer, Grant Major, he was the production designer for the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. We also are working with Weta, and they all had their own personal relationship with the game.
So when they started designing,
Some talented people working on it, that's for sure.
It just really
Yeah.
popped.
And it's cool hearing more about the intention behind making it live action, because I think that's what a lot of people have bounced off of, is the fact that it's not animated.
Part of that is because just like every Minecrafter, every player, they bring their own original story to what they're doing. It's very intentional that this movie is called a Minecraft movie as opposed to the Minecraft movie. We have an ensemble of characters, these unlikely misfits that get thrown into this adventure into the overworld. And we experience a lot of that through one of our characters named Henry, who's a young man going through a tough time in his life, and he literally has to create to survive.
You know, I saw him on the page and I was like reading the script, like, oh wait, he's like, you know, a young kid hanging in his room, like building and making stuff. But that's what he is. He's like a maker and he's a creator. Such a big part of Minecraft has been the creator community and modding. So we thought that Henry, the Henry character, could represent basically the modder, the person who takes the vanilla game and
modding
tweaks
as
it
a
and adjusts
theme for
it,
the character.
and then he comes into
I mean, it
the
makes
Minecraft
sense
world, and he
considering
meets
how many
Steve,
people
and
have pointed
Steve knows
out the
everything about vanilla
like pair of buckets that Jason Momoa's character makes is not a vanilla recipe.
a character.
Like if you're nitpicking, that's because they are actively modding the game.
And we've all embodied Steve and been Steve and done different things. So our Steve in this movie is Jack Black.
He such a huge fan of the game. After a long day of shooting, he was up until the wee hours of the night playing.
Also read one of the Minecraft novel audiobooks.
So, Dave, we gotta try this thing, dude. You know, some build that he did or something gnarly that happened to him. He just loves the idea that he's able
Cool
to
that the
bring
cast could
his
bond by
version
playing
of
in a shared
Steve
Minecraft
to
world as
life.
well.
from the top one more time.
Figuring out crafting was super fun. When the game came out, there wasn't a recipe book, and people were like, "Wait, what happens if I put these things like that?" When Garrett's character and these new characters come into the world, they don't know the recipes, they don't know what to do.
The Jason Momoa character, Garrett, is a guy that was like a world championship video gamer.
Cool.
In the
Oh,
late
interesting.
1980s,
I was thinking like
and
backyard
he
wrestler.
keep them, but he's still stuck in the past. He's got a little bit of Arrested Development. He's holding on to that former glory.
We want to show you a short
He's like the
scene
guy from King
that
of Kong.
shows Henry
He's
and
like
Garrett, Steve
professional
is kind of
gamer from the 80s when it was like all Pac-Man and
then
stuff.
Garrett tries to demonstrate his skills.
Yeah, and Garrett's the noob.
This is a crafting table. Here's how it works. You place these elements in different patterns, and you got yourself a sweet blade.
Should I start doing my tutorials like this, Joel?
I'll show you a blade.
Complete with wrestler voice.
Yeah. Hammer. That's okay, bud. Buckets are useful here.
When we were designing crafting and talking about what should it look like, we basically started at
I know
the
Jack Black is
crafting
American,
table
but that was a
itself.
very
We
Canadian
looked
bud
at the
that he
crafting
just
table.
dropped.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Experience
Steve is
as
like a
this,
Canadian.
super pixelated
I mean,
picture
he's
of
a
the
lumberjack.
character.
He's
Yeah?
he's got a lot of
So
lumberjack.
that was built into the real world crafting table. So it got this hammer, and we figured we honored the 3x3 grid perfectly, and thought it would be cool and kind of fun and gratifying to just give it a massive whack and then have things appear. Remember when we were trying to
Kind of like
figure
the
out size of
clank
the-
sound
of
you
the
get out of the
block,
smithing
which
table or
itself.
the
But when
anvil,
Steve
you know?
holds a block, it's like
Yep.
this big, and there we actually found out that going 1 meter by 1 meter, which is like 3 feet by 3 feet, is actually too big. So we scaled it down, and the scale's like
So
60
60%
centimeters
size?
cubed, which is 2 feet
Yeah,
by 2
makes
feet
sense.
by 2 feet, and then in the background and maybe
If you
in the
apply that to our
foreground, we
Minecraft
do
world,
sometimes
it turns
take
out we're
down a
all
little bit,
canonically
but
4
we
feet
would
tall.
always honor powers of 2, because, programmers and
That'd be
I
a
like
twist.
hobbits. Hobbits are
We
cool.
had to honor
Yeah, sure.
what you
I mean,
experience in the
plenty of
game,
people
but
roleplay as
also
dwarves
make
in
it
this game,
work
so.
for human scale, for different characters that are manipulating the environment and the world and throwing blocks, and make it be practical for that, but still feel natural and organic to what people experience in the game and feel authentic.
This is better than the trailer.
Yeah, absolutely. Like being able to actually see some of the intent behind it instead of just the teaser stuff, and like I think this is way more compelling.
Yeah, teaser. You're right. I should clarify the teaser. There's not been a full trailer yet.
Yeah. This is like a DVD featurette from back in the day. I feel like they don't make stuff like this too much anymore. And the bee is still very cute.
The filmmakers are still
Was there a
hard
bee
at
in the
work
teaser? I
on
don't remember the bee in the teaser.
I don't think so,
and
but
collaborating closely
cute as
with
the one in
us
game,
at
I mean.
Mojang, as
Yeah,
well
yeah.
as listening to the community to continue
I
to
like that it's
shape and
fuzzy.
craft the film in a way that's fresh and new.
Yeah, a lot of
but
people in
still
chat seem to be
authentic the spirit
appreciating
of the
the way that they presented
Look for
this as
more
opposed to the
exciting
teaser
updates
trailer.
soon.
Great presentation from Boo too.
Yeah.
Cute.
Do you want to adventure through Minecraft biomes in real life? You may have your chance with Minecraft Experience Villager Rescue, our first real-world immersive experience where you'll get to journey through a Minecraft adventure in real life. Let's take a behind-the-scenes look before it debuts in Dallas this October and spawning in cities near you in the future.
Olivier, prise 2.
Premise of Minecraft Experience. First thing is authenticity. Our goal is to make sure that it is truly authentic for all of you folks. The second thing is defining a new lens from which you can interact with the game, with the IP, with the brand.
This is the story of a village attacked by zombies, and it's your quest to go out and save them.
So kind of like Minecraft escape room almost?
Sort of, yeah.
With throughout, which allows us to do things like fight
Using
our
like
mobs, chop
spatial
down
recognition,
trees,
probably.
collect those resources.
This feels like going back to how you interact with Minecraft Earth, like on the the AR app, but like doing it in person.
Like to be in Minecraft.
It reminds me of like those virtual golf places that you can go to.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
tell us where you want to see the Minecraft experience.
And now it's time to reveal our completely new drop, releasing in a few months.
Few months,
The
okay.
team has been really
December, maybe?
excited about the idea of
December,
adding a
maybe
new
January
biome.
at the
And we
outside.
created one with its own unique mood and identity.
Oh, this looks spooky. It sounds spooky too.
During daytime, it's quiet, like almost serene in the
Pale
new
garden,
pale
wow.
garden.
Mm-hmm.
While you
Some
might
creepy
feel
vines.
calm walking around
Like the wood
in this
texture.
forest,
Yeah, that looks
there's
like some of the
also eerie mood.
wood textures we've had in the mod pack I've been playing.
Something
Gray wood, maybe?
isn't quite right. Then,
How great would that
when
be?
darkness falls, you indeed feel another side of this place.
Different
Like
grass
the
blocks
hanging
too.
moss shifts
It's
from
really
being
dark.
pretty to really spooky, and you realize that you're not alone.
Definitely has different
There's
vibes at night.
something lurking in the shadows.
So everything about this biome feels unfamiliar, and this is by design. We want you to feel a bit curious and scared.
Yeah, the
like,
wood
what
looks
is
gray.
this place? Why is it so different from everything
Awesome.
else? What we needed for the biome is to have like a low visibility, and we've created the pale hanging moss for this. This
Kind of
really
like a,
inhibits,
dark
like,
oak
how
roof
much you can
forest
see
kind of
and how
vibe.
far you can see,
Yep.
but you can still walk through it. So you're traversing
there's-
through the forest, and you're like trying to find everything, but you don't know what will
Hanging
be
moss
behind
blocks looks like
the
too.
hanging moss.
Yeah, it gives you kind of a strange feeling when you enter. It's unnaturally quiet and a feeling of something weird's going on here.
It's so strange with everything feeling kind of grayscale.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you've walked into the past in the overworld.
I really like the ambiance of the new biome. It invokes really those eerie and spooky feelings.
Yes, eerie indeed. And turns out there actually
I've got a
is
feeling that Agnes
something
likes
lurking
Halloween.
in the shadows. The creaking.
That was wild.
Oh, okay. So like surface
It's our first
warden
tree-like
almost.
creature, and it's almost like it's
Camouflaged,
in
yes.
the pale garden. And when it's dark at night, it's kind of hard to see it except those like elusive eyes.
Oh.
Yeah, and it also interacts with those trees, which is super fun.
Yeah, there's a special new block that it has a connection to.
When you approach the creaking, you can actually realize that it doesn't take any damage, and when you try to hit it, it points you somewhere in the canopies. That's where basically the Creaking Heart is, and that's what controls
Oh,
the mob.
that's wild. Like that's so
Wow.
One of the
different.
main themes
Really
of
different.
the Pale Garden and its inhabitants is that there's a lot of contrast from the rest of the world. So when we made the creaking, we also wanted it to feel unfamiliar,
Really
and
crooked looking.
different from other mobs.
Yeah.
Which is why we made it more asymmetric to really.
I assume it's
go on this
static
point
like
of,
that
like,
for a lot
being
of
different from
just
everything else.
demonstration purposes, though, because it seems to be
The creaking doesn't
just
exist
kind of
on its
lurching
own.
around the rest of the
It's more
time.
of
But
like a
It stops
puppet
moving when you
of
look
the
at it.
new block.
yeah,
Creaking
yeah,
Heart.
Was it
So the
statues
Creaking
from
Heart
Doctor
and
Who or
its
something? Is there
creaking
something like
puppet,
that?
Like Weeping
really
Angels or
comes
whatever,
with a
yeah.
new
Yeah.
combat, challenge or combat mechanic, both in the way that you need to destroy the heart block to actually kill the creaking, and also, of course, that the creaking only moves when you look away.
So don't blink.
I really like the sandboxiness of the Creaking Heart. It's a
I wonder what
very
you can do
simple
about that when it
you
comes
pin
to
it, and then you can
taking
place
them
it
to other
anywhere you
biomes
want
if you want to
in
just
the
have them
map
somewhere
world.
else for like
So
ambient
if you
noise.
want to be as evil as the Creaking Heart itself, you can place it and make your friends really
Nice. Okay, so you can silk touch the block and then it spawns them somewhere else. That's
To embrace
really
the
interesting being able to
quietness
control a
of
spawning
Minecraft,
zone for
we
it.
added ambient sounds for this biome that only plays during the night.
I think they're just
It
adding
comes
stuff
from
that
the
Tango could
blocks that
use in
surrounds
Decked
you.
Out now. I think that's
That will make an even more creepier experience for the player. And to do that, you need to play with the silence and the contrast of the silence and the sounds. So to make creaking, I gathered a lot of creaky stuff that will make creaky sounds. Obviously, the biggest thing would be to gather wood and twigs and stuff like that, dead leaves, to get rustling and creaking. But I also recorded salty sticks, the Swedish snack. I think it's Swedish. And one of the biggest part actually of the sound is my table creaking, dragging against the floor, and also a chair.
Yeah, getting surrounded by them looks a little rough.
Like bones, maybe, when the mob is walking. So it's.
What do you mean by teeth? Oh, okay.
Teeth is creepy.
Yeah, teeth don't have ambient sounds.
So we wanted to make the biome very gray to give this very eerie feeling, right? And with these gray tones, a very fitting new wood set is going to be a white-colored wood set. And this is something that players have wanted for a long time.
Yeah. Like white picket fence kind of vibes.
For the pale oak wood set, especially that in a lot of places people paint their fences white for example, for a white picket fence, and that will be exciting for a lot of players to actually represent themselves.
And then we also have like the hanging moss, and you can bone wheel it, so it's renewable. And so I think like just bringing it as well, and maybe put it in a greenhouse and things hang from the roof.
It's a little strange how desaturated it is, even though I know it's white
like
wood and
really
hanging moss, but it feels strange.
And it's also really
unique. I feel like the footage they've showed is all at night,
all
so
over
even
sides of the blocks.
Even in the demo, you can't see what it looks like in the daylight.
I like the kind of Skulk Vein-esque mechanic of it, decorating the walls like that too.
A tree that stood out was like the willow tree, like because it's very hanging. There's a lot of like drapery, and it feels.
Looks exactly like the tree my grandparents had in their garden.
Then we
they had a massive willow like
Spanish
that.
Moss. This was like the inspiration for the pale hanging moss that we've used in the biome eventually, because this gives this like drapey feeling without being willow trees, and it was a little bit more versatile and flexible to use in the biome, and could also be used as like building blocks.
I wonder if the Creaking Heart spawns in one of these trees if you grow it from saplings. So as you're farming the tree, you could also collect them. Sort of like, yeah, like bee nests.
We want to create connections between features because the Minecraft world is an ecosystem, and we really want it to feel like that. And the Creaking Heart and its puppet, Creaking, it really has a new way of creating this kind of connection.
I thought it couldn't be creepier, and then she called it a puppet.
Feels very Stranger Things.
It's actually coming to snapshots, previews, and betas very soon. So soon you can all try it out.
Villager number 9 here. Sorry for interrupting again, but villager number 15 and I have just escaped from the spooky forest. And I'd just like to state, like I said earlier, that I was right. There is in fact a monster in the woods that looks like wood and sounds like wood. What? That's a lie. You didn't believe that at all. Many didn't believe me. But in my heroic foray into the spooky forest, I, villager number 9, single-handedly discovered the creature that I shall now name the Crunching. It's called a Creaking. It literally just said its name. Maybe I should go into monster hunting. I'm clearly very good at it.
He's put it there to prank the other guy.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of people doing that, just kind of leaving it somewhere in someone's house.
It looks like the tree with the heart in it might have like a
Stick around with us
texture.
for the first ever playthrough of the Pale Garden in our after show, starting in just a few moments. Our developers will take us on a deeper dive through the new game drop as we bravely explore this new biome together. These new game drops can be played in betas and snapshots soon and will release to everyone in the next few months.
How soon do you think?
We hope you're as excited as us about everything
Previously, they've tried to have
in the world of Minecraft.
releases around Christmas time and around June.
Mhm.
So that might be the target.
From all of us at
But I
Mojang
also think that they'll take the time to gather feedback, and while they'll have a rough target, I think there'll be a "it's ready when it's ready" vibe.
Yeah.
Which I think is good.
But I think in terms of snapshots, possibly even like a couple of weeks from now. That's what I would assume.
Snapshots? Yeah. I feel like we'll see it after the bundles
We're excited
make it into the
joining
game.
us for the after show where we're going to deep dive into the next game drop with a bunch of people from the team, like this guy right here.
Yeah.
So that was the entirety of Minecraft Live this year. So no mob vote, no not too much extra shenanigans. Even like the animated segment by Element Animations was relevant to what they were announcing, which I think is great. I think it's nice to have a more concise format for this, especially for folks like us who are like, just get to the point. Like, we'd love to see the new features. We'd love to see kind of a bit more insight into development. And I guess like the Minecraft movie was the only real diversion from just development news and what's coming next for the game. So
Yeah, but an
all in all,
interesting one.
yeah, absolutely. Like I think having a bit more info about the Minecraft movie is fantastic, and having some behind the scenes stuff, really grounding it in reality and showing us what out of this is a physical set, because I think a lot of people just believed the entire thing, when it wasn't interior, it was all CG, and everyone was just walking around on a green screen. But evidently they've made a lot of that stuff practically, which is really cool to see.
Especially when you contrast this with other biomes like the dark forest, right? The dark forest is really
I think
still
also
dark,
the style
but,
of
like,
presentation,
it feels like
it's a
something
lot
from
more
here. Make it becomes
I'll say
neutral.
mature.
Neutral, I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
Compared to previous years where there was definitely stuff aimed at like really little kids that make a lot of the older players kind of roll their eyes. And I think they do themselves justice and great service by not speaking down to the player. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's a solid move. It's much better in my opinion than previous years.
I think with how much they've been celebrating Minecraft's 15th anniversary this year, I feel like they've also just been announcing stuff throughout the year that might otherwise have been saved for a Minecraft Live. So I think that it allows them to be concise and kind of get to the point and not feel like, you know, people are just, you know, not say wasting their time, but people are like able to get to the point a lot more easily.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like what's coming up next with bundles, you know, we know with the snapshot that came out this week that they're no longer in the experimental features tab. They're actually in the proper snapshot. So I feel like October will probably see that roll into maybe another snapshot, possibly some release candidates and all that. And then I would anticipate bundles to come in like a smaller drop, similar to Armadillo and Wolf Armor.
Yeah, that seems to be what's happening. It's getting released around the same time they put out hardcore mode for Bedrock.
Yeah, unless Bundles of Bravery is included with this, like unless the Creaking and the what was the name of the biome again?
The Pale Garden.
Yeah, unless the Pale Garden is the Bravery part of the bundles. So maybe bundles are farther away than we think.
No, I don't think it is. I'm fairly certain they said that the bundle and hardcore update would be out like pretty soon, and then this is coming in.
The Bravery.
That's the part of it, and so this is going to be its own gameplay drop, and it's like the next one. So yeah, those are two separate updates. No news on whether that's the Pale Garden is like a major update, like a 1.22 release or not, but I think they also have more news to announce at a future Minecraft Live about like major updates and stuff, because they're planning on doing these twice a year now.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool how not only is it tree-like, but it also has these like the legs feel like they're...
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the named updates are like June, because those seem to be when they've always been.
Yeah.
Push, not kill, just so we're all...
Yeah, that makes sense for like, especially for kids having more time to play over summer breaks. Like it's usually a lot longer than they get around the winter end of the year. And having something to do in the meantime with these, and obviously people getting to build a ton of new stuff with the new wood types. I think that's kind of fun.
When you see the trees behind it, it just blends in so
It feels like they took a lot of the, not like research, but concept art and ideas that they had for the Warden before it became the Warden. Remember when they showed those like art sheets of the different iterations of it, and they'd had the Stalker before that, where it was like a weird shape and it was asymmetrical, and they've taken that idea and reworked it into a mob like this. I think that's really fun.
I know they must be a lot of work, but those behind-the-scenes featurettes that they've been showcasing with like sound and some of the other design around the production design for the film, I would love to see a concept art / kind of development process for some of the stuff that they're putting into Minecraft, like the Creaking, you know, like the new biome. Like I think that would be really cool.
Yes, give us the art team behind-the-scenes featurette. Definitely.
I'll try to think of it next time I die.
And yeah, some folks in the chat are speculating if the Pale Garden would drop for Halloween. I don't think it's gonna be in like a full update, but we'll definitely have a playable version in snapshots and betas before Halloween, and that'll be great. Like they've said it's going to be very soon, possibly in the next few weeks, and you know, October's got 4 weeks for you to potentially get to try this thing out. So like keep an eye out for future releases. We cover them all on the Spawn Chunks podcast, so you can keep track even if you don't follow Minecraft.net or follow the devs on Twitter.
I get that feedback a lot when people pop by my stream and say that they come from the Spawn Chunks and say like that's how they get their Minecraft news, and they can always follow up with the articles that we link on the show notes on thespawnchunks.com, or they can watch the video on YouTube and see the images of what we're talking about. Like if you don't want to go and read through the whole post, you and I pull out the important stuff and then you edit in images and things that Mojang shares so that people can kind of get the whole thing in a quick, like what, 5 or 10 minute news segment on our show.
It seems like, to answer somebody's question in the chat, they asked if the new biome would spawn other hostile mobs than the Creaking, and it seems like it did, because they just got blown up by a creeper halfway through this gameplay demonstration.
That would be really interesting if it didn't, though, because imagine something on the surface where you could just build free of mobs, except for the Creaking.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like lighting the area up at least has some effect, but perhaps not on the Creaking, since they aren't spawned by conventional mechanics.
Yeah.
You need to find a block that it's interacting with. So it was.
They may have covered some of this stuff already, by the way, but since Joel and I are kind of talking about this back and forth, sorry if we miss anything crucial, but there's a limit to how much I can concentrate on what they're doing whilst also recapping some of the stuff we've seen today.
It's cool to see so much game footage in Minecraft Live as well. I know this is the developer kind of like post show, but like it's cool to have this and cool to be able to go back and watch it, you know, later before our show on Monday and just see it without like animation presentation. Like it's just them playing stuff that's happening.
It's less of the polish, more of the authentic player experience.
Yeah. And I gotta say, this whole Pale Garden and the Creaking is going to look wild with shaders on.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like the glowing eyes in the distance. Very cool.
Yeah, like emissive textures like that. I also like how different the Creaking block is. I feel like almost I would want to build with that, were it not for the fact that it brings a hostile mob threat with it.
Yeah.
But there's like a sap kind of feeling to it. It feels almost like waxy, kind of like when a hive like drips with honey after it fills up.
Yeah, it's got like an amber look to it. I wonder if that could be a way to keep it from spawning. Like, what if you waxed it like copper, and then it wouldn't spawn?
Interesting, yeah.
That would be cool.
I've also seen a couple of people ask whether it's going to have drops, and the difficulty there is you don't seem to be able to kill it. Like they said, it doesn't take damage in conventional ways. It has to be despawned by you breaking the block. So the block is effectively what it drops, because the Creaking is more like like they said, a puppet for this block, which is a difficult concept to communicate to players, but the lines of particles seem to be doing a good job of that.
Is the Creaking the heart, or is the Creaking the thing that's following you around, right? Like, which is which?
Not completely unprotected. But,
or are they both, you know?
It's part of the same organism almost, yeah. That's fun, though.
It's really different. Like, points for, like,
originality.
Did not see this coming a mile away, you know?
Yeah, and this was part of the leak. That there was an article that went live on Minecraft.net a little bit early, so people knew the names of the Creaking and Pale Garden, but they didn't know exactly what the mechanics were. So I think seeing this in action, it's very different to what I expected just having learned the names. I expected Pale Garden to be more like an open kind of meadow. I think garden sort of implies that, rather than it being a roofed forest kind of vibe. I wonder, actually, thinking about it, if, because these are 2x2 tree stumps, I assume you'd need, like with a dark oak sapling, you'd need a 2x2 of those in order to grow the tree. So I assume that's the case with these new trees in the biome as well.
Are they 2x2? I thought they were just single trees.
They seem like they were 2x2s. The whole thing reminds me of a reskin of a roofed forest. So they look very much like they're modeled on dark oak trees.
Within the team, we do almost daily, like just loading it on someone's computer and going over there and testing.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see all the different things that come with that. Like, what does the trapdoor look like for white oak?
Yeah.
Pale oak? Pale oak, I think is what they called it.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, they got doors, trapdoors. The fence is the same.
Like a lot of that stuff has the same texture across all the wood types, but the trapdoor and door is where things get unique. You also presume there's going to be buttons and pressure plates and everything, so anything that comes with a full wood type, probably a boat as well.
how many different teams had
yeah.
to work on it with art and sound and design and gameplay. It like really came together so nicely.
Yeah, it's interesting to see people's reactions to this in chat. Some folks are saying it looks cool, but a little underwhelming overall. There's some folks saying that they're really looking forward to building with the wood type, and if anything, like anytime they add a wood type, it feels like an update for builders, because suddenly there's new palette for us to work with, there's new textures for existing materials, effectively in the case of the white wood. Look at this. Like,
here's some examples. Yeah,
it goes so well with the cherry leaves, and that's something that I hadn't kind of caught originally. But yeah, they've got the new moss block that's in there as well. I haven't caught what that's called, so if anybody has noticed, put that in the chat. The kind of new gray grass color that seems to be like a grass texture on all 6 sides.
I think it's called hanging moss, so it could be called hanging moss blocks. I don't know.
Yeah, I just wonder if it's like, it's not hanging at the point where you put it in the ground, so I wondered if it had a different name.
Pale moss, maybe?
And that could also still be... Oh, wow, okay, yeah, those look fun. Solid trapdoors as well, not something that has a transparency in it.
Anna, you told me you thought it
Good for like window shutters, suburban
I haven't
homes.
seen the door yet. Oh, there it is. Door's got like a wrought iron work on it. Cool.
Oh, kind of like the spruce door even. Like, that's kind of nice. Yeah, I don't mind that. That's nice.
Yeah. All subject to change too. You know, like if they decide that it's not quite, you know, what players are wanting. And I really like the stripped wood. It looks like it goes really well with quartz.
Yeah. An interesting note here as well, they seem to have grown the pale trees in a biome that's not the pale garden, and the tree leaf color changes. So it's a biome-specific color, so you could assume that, like, if you grow an oak tree there, if you grow jungle leaves there, it's going to match the biome color.
Right. Which could be good or bad, depending on how close you are to a pale garden, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, imagine overhauling the pale garden with regular moss, but then having a set of leaves that felt like a different color. You could do so much with like the different biome colors and giving a different vibe to the stuff you build there in a custom environment.
Jens, you're going to show us a way, this was your idea, Marco, of how you might use the creakings to protect yourself and your village.
Yeah, what is the plural of creaking? She said creakings. I'm kind of curious to see if that's the one the community adopts.
Well, there's the block.
Yeah. Does it glow only at night? Is that a thing, or is that...
It looks like it needs wood on top and bottom.
Wood above and below? But, I mean, that texture on its own, as long as you, like, adhere with the... Like if you can use it to build elsewhere, so as long as you don't put wood on top and bottom of it, then that's
there you go.
A really cool texture for builders to use.
Yeah, there's your answer. That's awesome. Clever, too. And adds gameplay.
And it looks so 3D, even though that's a 2D texture, because of the way they've shaded it. That's, like, really good job by the art team, I think.
Yeah.
Also, is it light emitting? I don't think it is, right? It looks emissive, but it isn't. Yeah, no, it's... Or maybe it's like a level 1 light level or something, but...
Could be. I couldn't quite tell. There's snow around it, so I...
So I had other plans than, like, using it for protection. I was thinking of more, like... more scheming.
Wonder how much work it would be to get a lot of them.
Yeah, probably. A decent nighttime and a lot of not looking at things. You've got to be turning around constantly. But then, I don't know if you'd have a need for a lot of them, except if you, I guess you're making like a dungeon experience or something like that. But like farming these things is going to be redundant if they don't die and don't drop anything.
Yeah. Well, they die when you pick up the heart, but then they didn't seem to drop anything. But that could be also player feedback that they get over the snapshots, right? It's just like, look, this thing is great, but like, can we get more out of it, or use it in different ways?
If it left like sticks or something behind after it despawned or something, I don't know. No, sticks is a bit of a lame example, but I do wonder if. Yeah, if there's... Obviously, there's still room for player feedback throughout development. Like, they talked about how much players' suggestions shaped the armadillo. So I wonder if maybe there is room for stuff like the creaking to still... Even though this seems like a fully fleshed out idea, there's still player feedback that can change how the mob interacts, how the trees are, maybe even some stuff about the design, although I don't think any builders would want to turn down the doors or trapdoors.
No, I think the idea here is that when they present something that's this well thought out, but you and I still have questions about what it could be used for or potential for it, I think that's a great way to present something like, look, this is the idea, this is how far we've got with it. We feel like it's just about ready, but now it's time to gather player feedback. And I think that was the same with the armadillo. It was real close, but they took some feedback and they made some changes. So I'd be curious to see if, like, I think the creaking eyes are really prominent. I mean, if it dropped a creaking eye or something along those lines, I think that could be really interesting. Maybe something new to be crafted into something else. Just like the armadillo, if you could have whatever the creaking might drop and combine it with an older existing item in Minecraft that is either underused or is overlooked by a lot of players and bring that forward into Minecraft 2024, that could be good too.
I'm curious if folks from the technical community are going to be kind of underwhelmed by this, considering there are not many ways I can imagine, like off the top of my head, people using these. Like, again, they can't be farmed. There's no like technical interaction aside from this block spawns mobs and it spawns them under certain conditions. But that sort of base level technical thinking would be, can I farm this for something? Whereas I've seen people do amazing stuff with like mechanics that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and just like taking a really out of the box like thinking way of doing something with those mobs. Like, I mean, you just look at the way dungeon design works in stuff like Decked Out, where there's so many neat ways of using some of those mobs in an atmospheric way, in like a threat management kind of way. There might be ways that Redstone folks can think of using these, but maybe it's like a player detection thing. Maybe if, like, you know, a creaking spawns, maybe it emits a certain, you know, skulk sensor vibration, or, you know, maybe there's something that can be done with the connection to this specific block that maybe technical folks can use. I'm really curious about that. A different way to detect nightfall? Yeah, that's Wormbo has a good suggestion, like like using it like a daylight sensor or a night sensor.
I'd say, like, if it has the ability to change from being one state to another, then if an observer can see that, then you know, that could be a way to use as like a switch or an indication for something. The thing that I was thinking of when you were talking about the technical bits is that I don't think it's necessarily an accident that the updates to minecarts has been announced before this. So if there's a criticism of like, well, the stuff they announced is really not all that technical, the technical community is just like, well, it's not for us. Yeah, but like there's experimental stuff in the snapshots right now for you that is still in process, right? So I think that's kind of nice that they're leapfrogging. It's like, here's some smaller drops that are technical that don't really warrant a big announcement, and then here's a art-related, biome-related, mob-related announcement that does require some context and info from the developers, and they can kind of like leapfrog, you know, like technical update, gameplay update, technical update, gameplay update.
I think that the difference there, though, is we're talking about new features versus refinements to existing features, right? So they aren't necessarily adding anything new for Redstone or minecarts. They're just updating the mechanics, maybe making them parity compliant for Bedrock, and I do kind of wonder if there's new Redstone features in the works that they're just not ready to announce yet. I guess we did just get the Crafter, and that feels like the biggest revolution in Redstone for a while, but I am kind of curious how... I also like the fact that they're showing how this can be used as a minigame by doing this live kind of gameplay demo for what they've got going on.
They also walk hips first, which is weird.
Yeah. Everything
in a good way.
About the way they move around is kind of spooky. Like, you're not going to see it move around a lot unless you're in a multiplayer environment as well.
No. I feel like that's something that could also be refined too, is because, you know, a new mob with new mechanics and new movement, like, I feel like if they took the not the information, but the artistic license that they took with things like frogs and snippers for how they move and how they have weight and really like they wobble a little bit more off of their axes, they could have done that with this too, and have it look a little bit more creaky, sort of like, oh, what's that Japanese horror? I can't remember, but they filmed the people backwards and then they play it forwards and it looks
right.
Really
yeah.
The Grudge or something.
Like The Grudge. Yeah.
Really creepy. And maybe they tried that and they just thought, maybe this is too much. You know, like maybe it's too scary.
What
But
is
I
the
don't know.
group of creaking called?
Where did it go?
You're gonna have to stop.
They're talking about the collective term as well, like the
Yeah.
crunch of creaking.
They've got some pretty cool keyboard and mouse layouts there for like sitting in your lap in front of your TV playing.
Yeah.
We're actually trapped.
Yes, I can't move them. So okay, 7.
Well done, yeah. Okay.
I still really like the texture. Like, I'm going to try and find ways of working that into builds because of how great the broken section looks.
I didn't even do it.
What if you like the section when it's orange? I guess you just can't use it unless you want creaking spawning everywhere, right?
They didn't necessarily say whether light level can prevent them from spawning, so there's a possibility there, but they were placing torches through some of that, so...
And snapshot very soon. Check Minecraft.net and all of our Minecraft socials for more.
Yeah, we'll definitely be looking out for that in snapshots, because that's going to be a bit of fun to play around with. I mean, especially for us as primarily builders, I think the wood type is going to be the major, like...
Totally.
The big thing. Alright, so that looks like it for Minecraft Live in general. Maybe like a little kind of post-show clip here.
The boat. Cute.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was good. That was tight, you know, in a very good way.
Yeah. Well, I'll scroll down the volume there so we can have a little chat. Anything else you want to go over? We can always go back through the stream to take a look at anything specific, but I feel like that after show like gameplay demo really showed me everything I wanted to see about the creaking and the pale garden for now.
Yeah, the pale garden, the pale oak, and the creaking, I think, were showcased pretty well. And I don't think I necessarily needed to hear everything that they were saying. I think a lot of it was just them reacting to playing in game and communicating with one another about what to do next, and showcasing that kind of stuff. I did like the fact that they showed how that Creaking Heart works, and how you can move it to your base, control it, showing different textures and different states for it, which again, might be cool for some technical applications. Other than that, I think that the info that they gave is more broad in terms of coming in the next few months, snapshots available in the next few weeks, no specific dates, no even, no months really given either. And I think that that gives them chance to collect feedback. And if the feedback is constructive and really gives them some ideas and they go, oh, wait a minute, there's really something that they could apply here, but we don't have time before our internal release date. It's internal. They can just say, all right, well, we want to include this player feedback, so it might be a little bit later than we wanted to do internally, but no one else knows about it. So, the next few months gives them a pretty broad landing for the update. I think it's pretty slick. And I enjoyed the entertainment value for Villager News and how it was related. Not that it wasn't distracting or detracting from what we were watching.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of gave you a tease and then gave you more information, some humor, and I think also it did help communicate the developer intention behind the creaking in terms of creeping up behind you, stealing your party members in the dark without you seeing what's going on. That kind of stuff I think communicates what they are intending with the mob and the experience of the biome. If I have any criticism so far of the biome, I think you mentioned it, but I was definitely thinking it, is that it's kind of underwhelming in the layout and design of it. I think it could use with some other things in there in the biome, on the ground, maybe some mushrooms.
Yeah.
I would
you
like
have
to
people
see,
in the chat agreeing with you, by the way. There's a couple of folks who've said it just feels like another biome of trees. It's too grayscale to really want to live there. And I think I can see people using it sort of like mangrove swamps, where you go there to mine for materials and then you don't really stick around for all that long.
Yeah, which is too bad, right?
Yeah. But I think there's definitely room for something else, and there's room for community feedback on what that something else is. Remember that these are still in development, and the Armadillo underwent a lot of different changes based on community feedback. So I think while they might have a narrower scope for what they can add at short notice, I think maybe a distribution of flowers, if like, you know, Lily of the Valley would already fit there because it's a white flower and you get white dye from that, which kind of, again, goes along with the bone sort of vibes. Like, you know, you're getting white dye from that the same way you are from bone meal. Yeah, I like the idea of glowing mushrooms on the trees because then that sort of fakes you out about whether or not there is a creaking there or if it's just the mushrooms. So like tree growing like flora and fungi like that seems like a really cool idea and would definitely be a fun way to spook players even during the daytime.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there are a lot of biomes that we already take for granted as just being there for resources that people don't often set up. Like a few people saying like savannas and like mangrove was my my example, but there are definitely a few biomes that players typically avoid building in because of the amount of clearing they have to do of the wood types, the fact they don't like the color of the surroundings. And that's why I was talking about the biome color when it came to the tree types bringing the leaf color with them or leaving it there and bringing leaves that can change color into a pale garden. I think there's some interesting scope to be had there if you want to play around with how a biome feels to be in. And like, you know, as a builder, I take that as a challenge. Like if I feel like I want to build in a savanna this time because it's something I've never done before and that's why I'll give it a try. That's how I ended up with my Empire's Season 2 base, was I decided I'm going to build a savanna because there's one really close to spawn and it feels like this golden grass color really suits what I had in mind. So if you want to build a Halloween environment, if you want to build like a Halloween district on your server or something, Pale Garden is a shoe-in for that. It's already got the spooky environment built in, add a few more cobwebs around and you're good.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's even got mobs that will sneak up on people if they come and visit your graveyard that you've built there or something. Yeah, like I think there's some real fun to be had with the biome that maybe isn't there at first glance, but people, once they have a chance to play around with it, you'll see it pop up in people's let's plays and stuff, and you'll find some really creative uses for it that you might not be able to think of right away.
Yeah, I was thinking about your necromansion the whole time. Like that would be a really, really good spot for it, especially if you're bringing in other blocks, and if we presume that the leaf colors are going to change in the Pale Garden, with the exception of the leaf blocks that do not change in other biomes already, then you'd have some control. You just have to you'd be forced to use the brighter leaves if that's what you want. But if you don't, then you end up with a bunch of different gray leaf textures that you can play with, right? And that could be really fun to have like different trees, custom trees. We were talking in our hangout earlier today about people that build custom trees, you know, with realistic wood types and wood colors and stuff. And now you've got a grayish bark block that you can work into those trees if you don't want to use andesite or tuff or things that don't really have that vertical texture. This does, right? So I feel like there's some real creative uses that players will come up with once they get their hands on the blocks and hands on the textures and can mess around with stuff. I think the biome as like a place to go get stuff and not really build, I think a lot of that just has to do with players building in places that emulate kind of like where they're from. And that's just a natural kind of thing where like you want to play in the green grass and have like nice sunny days and build in those areas. And because I'm guilty of it, I think a lot of the builds on the Citadel are in meadows or green areas. We don't have a big desert build. We don't have a big savanna or Badlands builds, although Badlands is on the list because it's a cool area, especially the eroded Badlands. But we've not really gone out of our way to build in other places just because I think a lot of people on the server just like color. They like the bright colors. They like the bright grass, the bright leaves. It gives you more options. But I think that the Pale Garden, I like the idea of mushrooms on the trees, especially if you're able to place them sort of like sea pickles. So like if you collect them and you collect enough of them, you know, 1, 2, or 3 clicks gives you 1, 2, or 3 mushrooms on a tree or on a surface. And that represents kind of like the 3 eyes of the creaking. And then you could take that elsewhere and put that mushroom on other stuff as you're doing other builds in different areas. That'd be fantastic, especially if it emit light. Like that would be really, really cool. I think those little touches will help because I think it's just a little bit too drab. And I know that's the plan. Like I understand that that's the idea, that it's supposed to be dark and dreary and spooky, but I think that you could work in things like purples, blues, orange, like you mentioned, to kind of spook people with the eyes of the creaking. but I think there could be some stuff that they could bring in that would be interesting color-wise, that would still work with the vibe, would still be creepy.
Yeah.
I think about, like, I can't remember the name of the forest, but there's a creepy Duskwood maybe forest in World of Warcraft. It's one of the first biomes you go to after you go through like level 10 or something. And it's like Lord of the Rings spiders and, you know, creepy crawlies and things like that. But it's a very blue biome despite being lots of like hanging moss and cobwebs and stuff everywhere. There's like a blue mist to it. And I think that if they worked in some of those cooler colors, I think that would be beneficial to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, a few folks saying like a table mushroom growing on the side of blocks. Yeah. Could get a block there that would be colored and get us pastel blocks. I think that's possibly out of the scope of a smaller update like this, because anytime you add a color block, you're adding 16 colors minimum, you know?
Yeah.
16 or 17 typically. So I think maybe that's outside of the scope of this for now. Because they're already adding a whole new wood type, and that's a lot of different blocks. Even though it seems like relatively trivial to add something like that, it still takes time. Some folks said they wanted to see the pale wood, the pale oak next to birch, and they thought it looked kind of similar. To me, it's much closer to like the whiter parts of bone block or maybe mushroom stem. So if you put those side by side in game right now, you'd probably have a better comparison before you can get hold of the actual pale oak in snapshots.
Yeah, they had some smooth quartz, I think, and maybe some calcite in the trailer or the gameplay dev afterwards, but smooth quartz might be a little bit too warm. I find the color temperature of the pale oak to be pretty neutral. It looks like pretty gray. There's no real warmth or coolness to it, but you won't know that until you have it next to those other blocks in game to see where it lands, right?
Yeah. It's sort of like how you never see that white terracotta is kind of pink until you bring it home and put it next to white concrete, and then you're like, whoa, okay, it didn't look like that when I mined it out of the ground in the Badlands. So yeah, very much that.
Context key, right?
Yes, definitely. Well, I'm really looking forward to unpacking more of this on Monday's show, but I think we should probably wrap up our live show here. It's been a short and sweet presentation, and I think we've got a couple of key features to talk about, but I can only imagine that with a little bit of community feedback and constructive criticism out there, I'm sure we'll have a couple of extra things that can pop up in the update just based on player satisfaction. So hopefully folks have got a couple of neat ideas that they can send into the Minecraft team. I'm pretty sure they'll be taking feedback. They'll be checking, the usual sorts of places like Reddit, and, they've got a feedback site for all of these sorts of ideas. So obviously, if people have ideas related to that, I'm sure there'll be a feedback area for those soon. Check Minecraft.net as well, because often they'll publish an article recapping some of the stuff that was added. I think that's the one that leaked with the names of the Pale Garden and the Creaking.
Right, yeah.
So on that article, they may well have a link to a feedback site that can maybe be a place to register your first impressions, register your excitement, and maybe give some suggestions for what else could be added to the Pale Garden biome if you feel like it's currently a little sparse.
Feedback for us as well, spawnchunkmail@gmail.com. And if you have something in particular addressed to Minecraft Live, like throw that in the subject line. It'll make it easy for us to grab and even consider for Monday's show or upcoming episodes of the podcast. Because if you're quick on the draw, then we'll be checking those messages before the show on Monday, and you can get your feedback in then. We are also at the Spawn Chunks on social media. Feedback is definitely better on email because it's a lot easier to track. But if you want to see new episodes and what we're up to and what our thoughts might be, then you can also follow us on social.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you so much for watching, folks. It's been a pleasure. Once again, tune in to the Spawn Chunks podcast on Monday for a few more of our in-depth thoughts on everything we saw today at Minecraft Live, but I was happy with quite a short and sweet one. I'm off to make dinner. Anything else coming up on your calendar, Joel? Anything else that you want to let people know before we head out?
Just the usual streams. I'm at Joel Duggan on Twitch. I've been playing a lot of Satisfactory, and I'll be definitely looking forward to trying out some of the new snapshots in Minecraft when they come out too.
Awesome. I'll probably be talking more about this stuff on tomorrow's Minecraft stream. I'll be back on the Fantasy Minecraft Fabric SMP, working a little bit more on my Haunted House Necromantion kind of build. So, some of this stuff would actually be perfect for that. It's a shame it's coming in a future update. But for now, folks, thank you so much for watching. Once again, tune in to Monday's show for more of our thoughts, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.